All right, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Amy Spriggs. I'm the Director of Marketing Strategy for Tomorrow's Technology Today. We want to thank you for taking the time to join us for our webinar, One Simple Step to Secure Your Business, How to Enable Cloud-Driven Security for Your Remote Workforce. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, please feel free to add those to the Q&A. I will be paying attention to that. I'll monitor it and pass those questions along to our presenters. I'd like to introduce our presenters today. Lisa Niekamp-Irwin is the President and CEO of Tomorrow's Technology Today. She is actively involved in a Microsoft organization of women in technology. She's the President of the Toledo InfraGard chapter, which is an alliance between the private sector and the FBI. She's a member of the SolarWinds Partner Advisor Council, Amazon bestselling author for Sitting Duck, Why Your Business is a Cyber Criminal's Ideal Target, and she does speaking engagements across the country discussing what hackers can do to a business. She is a graduate of the University of Dayton in computer science, the University of Findlay in business management, and George Washington University in project management, and she continues that project management professional through the Project Management Institute. Our other presenter today is Rob Krug. Rob has been in the network engineering and security space for 30 years and is currently a senior network security architect for Avast. His background includes extensive work with telecommunications, network design and management, and most importantly, network security. Specializing in security vulnerabilities, his background includes extensive training and experience in cryptography, ethical hacking, and reverse engineering of malware. He has served in the United States Navy, as well as worked as both a data security analyst and as the director of engineering for multiple international service providers and vendors. Rob has designed, implemented, and maintained some of the most complex and secure networks imaginable, and he collects malware for fun. Introducing Rob Krug and Lisa Niekamp-Irwin.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. I'm looking forward to this session. Everybody working remotely and, partially working remotely and, back and forth as things keep changing. So the landscape is changing all the time. And I think it's really important that our businesses are prepared for whatever comes next. And I think being that wherever you're working, we need to be protected. And so that's why I asked you to join me in helping educate these businesses as to, what a remote workforce looks like in a secure environment.
Absolutely. To start, it's really something that's going to be very, very telling in the coming future because of what we've seen with this new normal. So I'll definitely be talking about that. Thank you very much, Lisa, for having me today. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump into it, get started, and unveil what I have found to be the most amazing security solution that I've ever worked with. So during the wonderful introduction, obviously, you heard that I've been doing network engineering and security now for over 30 years. I literally had my first IT security job in 1990. So definitely go back quite a long ways. I've worked with a lot of the different technology over the years, and nothing has been more exciting or offered what I found to be a more complete solution than what I'll be showing you today. And that is a truly cloud-driven security solution for your cloud-driven workforce. So with that, let me actually start with a little bit of a recap of what the business community and all of us have really been experiencing for the past year and kind of what we're seeing in the future. They're calling it the new normal, right? So I'm sure everybody's heard that, that jargon out there, that everything that we're doing now is new. I know that I've spoken several times about in the past all the times that I travel and travel the world delivering security presentations, implementing network solutions, installing firewalls and other technology. And typically in a typical year, even in 2019, I was spending 170 plus nights of the year in a hotel. I would spend hundreds of thousands of miles on Delta, or fortunately Delta most of the time. Sometimes I get stuck on other airlines, but it definitely was on the road quite a bit. That all stopped last spring. So haven't been on a flight in almost a year and haven't been in a hotel in the same amount of time. So definitely a new normal to consider, but it's not so much the lack of travel, it's the lack of an office. the majority of the industry has shifted to this new work remotely strategy. And in fact, entire businesses have evolved in the way that they're doing business. Last year, May was, well, besides the horror of being called the year of the pandemic, it's also the year that the remote workforce was truly accepted by the industry leaders, right? So you're going to see entire cityscapes shift with this new work from anywhere technologies and anywhere business model, where employees can be situated in their homes or apartments, and they could be traveling, they could be doing it. I have a colleague that simply gets in his RV and travels North America, and he's always on the web, just doing on cellular and satellite, and that's all he does. He doesn't actually have a home anymore. So it can be it's a different model to really think of. But when you start to look at some of the shifts, I mean, you really see where in just from 2019 to 2020 to last spring, the Google search analytics for work remotely, or work from home, grew more than 300%. You can only imagine what that's going to be showing next month. It is another year into 2021. And we've all seen where this has been now truly accepted by the employers, where they're seeing, hey, employees are being more productive or happier in some cases. Some maybe not so much, but for the vast majority, especially that don't have to, that can work 100% of their tasks from remote, it's a true upsend, right? I have to spend so little time on traveling now that I'm actually home a lot more. I'm getting more done. I'm able to relax a little more. I don't have the hustle and bustle of TSA lines and baggage checks and Uber lines and figuring out which hotel I'm staying in tonight. All of that stress and aggravation gone, and now all I have is my simple mad science lab, in which I do all my fun stuff from, which I do collect malware and ransomware for fun, just to see what happens, right? But in this case, it's still really something that also is going to require all the business leaders to secure their remote workforce. And 2020 was also a very, very telling year for what we're all going to be facing. We literally saw where there was globally more than 30,000 websites were being hacked daily. So now that you have this, the permanent work from home status, now you have the permanent malware campaigns, the permanent threats, the cyber attacks targeting the users now at home. They're outside that traditional perimeter security. Just look at some of these other stats that we from Avast saw last year and 2020. More than 64% of companies worldwide having experienced at least, small typo there, I do apologize, at least one form of a cyber attack. With every passing second, 75 personal records went missing. I read one report, there were more than 36 billion personal identifying records were lost or compromised just in 2020, and various cyber breaches all being released online. The hackers have all that information in the dark web now that they can peruse, sell, and leverage in ongoing attacks. Every 70, and just go looking at from 2019 to 2020, there was more than a 363% year-over-year growth in ransomware attacks. So ransomware hasn't gone away. You could even say the ransomware as a service business model has proven quite successful. So these threats are still going to be very, very important, especially now that we're looking at this completely virtual workforce where everyone is just communicating online. You may have seen last year, there was, when the pandemic first hit and the lockdowns first started happening, I'm sure many of you may have even heard where a lot of users, the IT departments couldn't keep up, and they were seeing fake Zoom executables left and right that were ransomware, Trojans, and other exploits, and that was causing a huge problem, right? So literally every 39 seconds, there was a new attack somewhere on the web. And there was an increase of over 94% of all this new malware being spread through webmail, and most importantly, personal webmail. It's important to talk about that because a lot of that's uninspected, especially on a home front, especially in that work remotely strategy where users are not behind corporate shiny firewalls, right? Or they're using their webmail, their Yahoo Mail, their Gmail, their Hotmail. They're not going through just corporate email that may or may not have adequate protection. And then we saw literally more than 300,000 new pieces of malware getting created daily. That's a huge shift. I've obviously been doing this for quite some time, and I saw the trends in 2017, 18, 19, where this number went from 125, 150, 170,000 threats, literally going from 175,000 new pieces of malware a day in 2019 to over 300,000 in 2020. So again, a substantial increase in threats that hackers are certainly taking advantage of this new distributed workforce. In years past, you may have had a security model, to confront this. Now, if we jump in the way back machine, we get in our time vehicle, and we go back way back a whole whopping 10 years ago, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, you literally saw where most networks had this traditional model, right? So 2010, very, very conceptual year. You had everyone, you had the servers and the workstations still in the perimeter. They were still in the building. May have had some core switching going on, had that firewall in place, inspecting the traffic, and then you had some internet traffic, email, some webinars, some things going on, some e-commerce, and obviously the social networking, all that was really starting to peak. But over those past couple of years, from 2010, just as that started to shift, we started seeing cloud computing, right? We started seeing where everyone saw this expansive growth in internet connectivity, and everybody transitioned to this new mobile world where you had your data and you wanted it now. So you saw a huge shift in internet spike, internet throughput, internet performance. And you also saw things like the cloud applications, right? We saw Office 365, we saw G Suite. We saw all of the ramp up in Salesforce and Amazon and Azure. We started to see these things really start to shift the way that all of us really needed to live in this new connected world, where you needed to be able to gain access to everything. And you saw where the security stack and this really evolved in this period to really shift to the unified threat management, right? So content filtering and app control, all in this shiny little firewall in the broom closet somewhere, where connected to the ISP's router, so that admins could make sure that users were safe while they were connecting online, getting everything done in the office, right? But along shortly after this, a new emerging model that really peaked in the past 12 months came along, and that was the mobile workforce. So now everyone is outside the building, right? Everyone is evolved. Everyone is no longer going through that shiny firewall in the broom closet. They're now connecting from anywhere. They're constantly on the go, thanks to these wonderful iPhones, iPads, laptops. I personally have all three and travel with them. Contrary to the past 12 months, definitely traveled heavily and was never really in an office. So you really needed a shift in a way that you approach security for this mobile workforce. And that's where Avast, by partnering with Zscaler, to bring forward the secure internet gateway. This solution really offers you a full cloud inspection model that provides security from anywhere. So you can literally connect in from any device, whether it be an iPhone, a MacBook, a Chromebook, a Surface, whatever you're using for your distributed workforce now. And no matter where they are, you can still provide a manageable, infinitely scalable security architecture to provide that essential deep packet inspection and the inspection of encrypted traffic. It's really telling when you start to look at how users can use this and remain secure no matter where they are, more importantly, no matter where they're going. This model allows network security to be enforced across all those devices all the time. Let me show you a little bit about this. I'm extremely excited about this architecture. It's really, really compelling, and it really delivers that essential zero-day threat prevention and the unknown malware prevention, and maybe a little productivity enforcement. So here's just a couple of screenshots of some of the things that be controlled. Obviously, you can go in and set up your particular profiles for your business, splash screens, things of that nature. You can control the way your users authenticate, whether you want to tie it into your existing internal Active Directory if you're still using an on-prem network, or maybe you've evolved, you've gone to the cloud, you're using Azure AD, seamlessly integration to Azure AD, or even G Suite. You can tie it into all of those in just a matter of clicks, and tie in your normal offices as well. So even if you still have that on perimeter, on site network, your own infrastructure. You can tie that in as well by tying in tunnels back to this secure internet gateway and provide inspection without impact to your existing bandwidth or introducing any network latency. You can also control all of the advanced network services and how users are doing things like maybe data leakage prevention. Imagine that, being able to enforce what users are uploading and downloading, even from their personal iPhone, even if they're home, all without actually impacting their performance. That's powerful. That gives you the ability to implement true security solutions and block those malware threats that are coming in, whether it be advanced threat prevention or sandboxing or browser exploits. We've all seen the 0 days and the new emerging threats that are targeting all these wonderful devices. I literally just saw this morning brand new malware that is already in the wild that's targeting the brand new Apple M1 chips. And that's both for the mobile device, iPads and iPhones, as well as the new MacBooks and the Mac Minis and other devices that have that M1 processor. That malware already out in the wild, not just conceptualized, not just some security researcher theorizing it, actually in the wild finding that malware. And make sure that they're providing that constant protection, making sure they're secure, no matter what device they're using and where they're going from, with full firewall control, including intrusion prevention and other aspects of that network-based security model that you would traditionally see in a hardened appliance in an office. And this provides you that protection over inspecting all the communications from these devices, including looking for emerging threats like viruses, unwanted applications, Trojans, ransomware, all of this being prevented. Content filtering, making sure that the users are maybe staying on work appropriate sites. You can do that no matter where they are or where they're going. That gives you the power to deliver that enforced security model that every business should consider. At least you want to make sure certain things are not happening on during business hours or on business devices, including a detailed 5 dipole rule matching so that you can build certain policies around certain users, certain devices, certain locations, groups of users, even at time of day. So if you want to keep a user off, say, an inappropriate website, well, as soon as they type it in, even on that device that's outside the building, well, then the content filtering would actually restrict it. You can also do this by cloud application, making sure that maybe you have a policy. Obviously, there's different organizations have different rules. For example, there's a rule that where I work where we don't allow Dropbox on corporate devices. So in this particular case, we can easily configure that rule to control that. And then if they try to use that application, maybe it's a webmail, maybe it's an email, maybe it's Dropbox, maybe it's some other cloud-based application. This gives you the power to control that, including data leakage, optional data leakage rules that you can enforce so users can't upload or download or share proprietary company data. That includes even if something inadvertently, whether they do it accidentally, whether they're doing it intentionally, they can't offload that proprietary corporate database without having the appropriate rules in place. This all comes with built-in SSL inspection. Now, for those who have listened to me present over the past 10 years or so, I really touched on the need for encrypted traffic inspection everywhere I go, because I've seen the trend. I've seen where the hackers are using this. The malicious actors are using the very foundation of our security models. In this case, SSL and TLS encrypted websites, making sure that they're embedding those threats in there. And when you saw the slide earlier where I showed you 94% of new malware is being spread by email, a lot of that, again, by personal web mail, all of that's encrypted. All of that's HTTPS. You have to inspect inside that. Otherwise, you can't stop it. So in this case, this solution comes with granular and easily deployed, the easy button solution for making sure that your encrypted traffic inspection is not only just enabled, but it's granularly controlled across all your different operating systems, including Mac OS, Windows, iPads, Android devices. Yes, you can achieve that. And by the way, I know maybe some of you have experimented with this SSL encrypted or TLS encrypted inspection, and you'll know that it's very performance limiting, very impacting. Well, just to show you how powerful this solution is, I've run a little speed test for the purposes of this presentation, And I can show you without any introduction of latency or bandwidth impact, bandwidth performance, you can achieve SSL inspection for all your devices all the time, no matter where they are. And in this here, I'll show you a nice little screenshot going through the Avast Zscaler cloud. I'm showing you that I am being inspected there. You'll see the SSL inspection is taking place. The TLS website, I'm getting intercepted there to see the new certificate. And when I run that performance test, you'll see that I'm actually getting my ISP bandwidth. Now, me, myself, on where I'm at in this mad science lab, I pay for 400 megs down and 20 megs up. That's actually what my paid subscription is. You'll see that I'm actually getting that performance through this without any impact, no latency. All of this comes available with a built-in service level agreement. Now, you heard earlier in the introduction, very nice, by the way. If you look at the introduction of my background, you heard a couple of keywords. And one, background in cryptography, it's encryption, and cryptography is the actual communication that's taking place, the handshakes and encryption that's taking place in these websites. And you heard another keyword, telecommunications. In the 90s, I spent a lot of time working for the big telco carriers like Sprint. And in that, we looked at the models of the way those services worked. And when you worked at those big carriers and if you ever dealt with one, or you had any experience purchasing direct pipes, you're familiar with the keyword SLA, service level agreement. And in the terms of telcos, these are very, very important documents because they dictate availability, uptime, things like that. But more importantly, in the world of telco, it actually has financial terms applied, meaning you get credit, you get service credit if something doesn't work. Well, you're actually going to get that from this service. You're actually getting a service level agreement that provides for guaranteed performance and availability. And if it falls outside that scope, then, well, then yes, there is service credits available. So you definitely have a powerful solution here with guaranteed security, guaranteed performance, and guaranteed availability. And it comes with extremely rich reporting and analytics that you can see what's going on in your network and your users and how everything is communicating. You can drill down and find what users are going, what websites they're viewing, what applications they're using, what traffic they're going to. You can see exactly which cloud applications and websites that they're browsing, all at the click of a mouse. You get the granular analytics so that you can create your security policies for whatever you're looking to acquire, whatever you're looking to enforce. This all comes with scheduled reporting that you can create whatever report models you would like to be delivered to whomever you want on every, multiple times a day, hourly, weekly, daily, monthly. You can have these reports delivered automatically for a plethora of different options. If you want to see what websites were blocked, what applications are the top productivity loss, you can see all of that instantly in the reports, including drilling down and seeing exactly what users are doing while they're online. But that's not all this solution really is entailing. There's more to this because remember, we're all distributed now. We're not just surfing the internet live long day here. We're actually also trying to connect back to secure resources, right? So maybe you have an online CRM tool, or maybe you're using Azure and Office 365, or maybe you still have an on-prem data center that you manage, or maybe it's an AWS now or somewhere else, but you have an on-prem file service location, and you were using traditionally some form of VPN, some kind of remote user connection, whether it be an SSL or an IPsec client to connect in, right? And these networks are still out there. And you may have seen recently, just in the past couple of weeks, certain vendors may have suffered, I don't know, maybe a 0-day vulnerability that exposed in the wild, that was detected where hackers were actually using those exploits to gain illicit access to confidential customer networks. Why this is important to mention is because of the way these legacy networks are these legacy solutions are architected. You look at that traditional remote access for that distributed workforce, and you had the user working from somewhere, an internet connection, and they would establish an SSL or a VPN or IPsec tunnel back into that centralized gateway. And that required you to open ports and protocols and have access rules that exposed access to your network in the firewall, so that if I'm a hacker and I'm looking at your network, I'm doing an Nmap or some form of port scan, I can see the open allowed connections for some port, whether that be UDP 500 for ISACEM, or maybe it was for IKE, or for it's encrypted key exchange, by the way. So for the IPsec VPNs, or maybe it's a 443 session, or maybe you were clever and changed it to some other port number like 4430 or something to that nature, right? And that was your SSL VPN coming in on a non-standard port, thinking that offered security, but it still exposed a door or window to your network out in that public cloud. Well, this solution, the same internet security model that I just showed you, that secure internet gateway from Avast, would actually can take this solution and upgrade you to an actually peerless technology. The way it actually works is it's a phone home configuration. It reversely has a connection that we deploy within your network. This could be a VM, a virtual appliance. We can do this in Azure, AWS, all your on-prem, on Hyper-V, on VMware, or you just install it on top of Linux. It's a little application, phones home. And this connector establishes an outbound connection back to the Avast security cloud. And this is more than 150 data centers deployed globally. It's not something you have to manage. This back-end infrastructure is done and managed for you, upgraded for you, monitored for you, and assured with a 5.9 uptime and availability. But the way this remote access works is that the connector phones home to the cloud. You then get to decide which users and which users' devices, more important word there, are allowed to access which applications on that internal network. And this is actually called the secure private access from Avast. And again, with underlying partnership through Zscaler for this worldwide global security backbone network. The way this connector works is used as an app connector. We deploy this in your facility, in your network, whether this be in your, again, your on-prem security facility, or maybe your cloud-based, your AWS or Azure environment. And it phones back into that cloud, remote access, meaning there's no port for me to scan. There's no door or window for me to pry open and get into your network. I can't see it. I can't brute force it. I can't DDoS it, because it live on your network. You don't have to expose anything. So this creates a much more secure network architecture, and often referred to as a zero trust network access architecture. This ZTNA is basically, imagine a closed circuit network, but because it's tied to the same secure internet inspection, we can actually create that perfect closed network. It doesn't matter which device that employee or distributed workforce is using. You can control which applications, resources, websites, web applications that users can actually access, and more importantly, what applications they can access on the internal network. Or you can control the authentication of how they log into Salesforce or Office 365. This gives you the ability to control every aspect of your data privacy, of ensuring that none of your information is exposed. Now, because it's all tied together in a single, you're available to bundle it all together in a single app, in a single form of multi-factor authentication or whatever you want to apply there. Once the user connects in, this actually has been found to give users a much better user experience, because they're not having to have all these complex logins and this app for this and this device for that. You can control exactly what they're able to access. So it gives you that user experience model. It's much easier for the users when they're trying to simplify yet remain secure. This also never places the user's device on your network. All of this traffic, all of this inspection, and all of the remote access is going back to the Avast cloud. So there's no bottleneck or no split tunneling that you have to concern yourselves with here. It never places those users' devices on this network. And that's very important. For those that remember, just a few short years ago, 2017, I know we have to get our time machine to go back that far, but many of you may remember a little thing called WannaCry. Certainly a very wonderful ransomware kit that came out it combined a worm and a ransomware exploit, right? And it used what's called lateral network through the network. And because of that, devices such as these could actually spread the malware, the ransomware kit, laterally through the network. By using this secure cloud model from Avast, you're able to keep the devices and never place those devices on your network. It's connected to the cloud. So you can actually segment this application by network, right? So by application, not by network. So you can actually control what users are going where in the network and never allowing that lateral movement where this device is an actual node on your private data network. This actually gives you also the ability for the inside out connectivity. This makes the public internet the new corporate network. You're using the public backbone cloud as your security model so that you can control where users and devices are able to go, route, and communicate. Again, a closed circuit network, if you will, zero trust network architecture. And because it's 100% cloud delivered, that means it's always on, it's always there. It's got that always available option. And that's why it's a cloud-driven security model for your cloud-driven workforce. And all of this, again, from Avast, allows you to ensure that you're ensuring all the content filtering, the application control, malware and advanced threat prevention, data leakage if you want. It's an optional add-on. You can put in there, make sure nobody uploads social security numbers or more than 30 built-in dictionaries you can choose from, or you can even create your own. From there, you also get the real-time encrypted traffic inspection that I promise you is one of the most important fundamental needs of any cybersecurity architecture. And that all includes that granular analytics and traffic reporting, all of those reports I showed you, all of those at a click of the mouse, you can instantly see. Very robust service offering where you don't have this little spinning wheel of death that you see on some reporting modules. This is actually point, click, done. There's the report, there's your analytics. You can see exactly what's taking place and exactly what your users are doing. And it includes the ability to add in that secure private access for that on-premise or cloud-hosted applications like Office 365, Salesforce, Oracle, and other solutions where you want to keep, or even AWS, if you want to make sure that things are remained locked down, you're not exposing things to the public cloud. This, again, creating that perfect cloud security model. I hope that was really telling for you. It's something that I'm extremely excited about, and it's powered by an award-winning technology solution that's literally been at the top of the pyramid for the past 10 years as the best solution out there. It's personally the best security product I've certainly ever worked with, and I'm sure once we get you a closed knit, maybe we can offer a demo or a deep dive specific to your network needs, I'm sure you'll feel the same. With that, Lisa, if it's okay with you, I'd certainly like to open it up to any questions or comments, concerns, snide remarks, or maybe if anyone's seen any good movies, we can certainly open it up to the audience now. Toss it back to you for the Q&A there.
Amy, are you seeing anything in the questions?
No, not too much in here right now. I think people are just trying to take it all in.
I guess maybe, Bob, why don't you say, maybe understanding that the whole SSL, and are some websites SSL, some aren't, so you don't have to worry about all of them, kind of thing?
Great question. So SSL, well, actually it's been depreciated, so now it's all TLS, but it's really that HTTPS, right? When you're going to a website and you see HTTPS, well, believe it or not, that's now probably close to 100% of all your web traffic. The actual statistic from Google is that I think it's 94, 95% of the web is now encrypted. It's supposed to be 100% by now. It's really 2020 was supposed to year that we hit 100% full encrypted web. However, if you go and pull any kind of analytics on your network, you'll actually see that almost 100% of your traffic is, because while only 95% or even just lowball it, 90% of the web is encrypted, of where you're spending all your time, all the web apps that you're already using, all of that's already encrypted. All the popular ones are. Even the GoToWebinar that we're all on right now is being delivered to you over TLS encrypted HTTPS web protocol. So in that case, if you're not inspecting that, you're essentially not inspecting any of your internet traffic. So it doesn't matter what security program you have. It doesn't matter how good they say they are. If you're not inspecting that encrypted traffic, you're just simply missing what's going on in your network. Imagine an 18-wheeler tractor truck coming through the front door of your house and you not being able to see what's inside of it, right? So that's essentially where this comes into. And if you're not inspecting it, you have no idea. Is it Netflix? Is it webmail? Is it Gmail? Is it Dropbox? Or is it ransomware? Nearly all ransomware samples communicate over encrypted connections. So if you can't inspect it, you have no idea what's taking place.
So if you're not inspecting encrypted traffic, you're not seeing actually what's there, and that's exactly how they get malware and payloads into your network.
Absolutely.
And my experience is that when I turn on that DPI,
Well, it's often referred, a certain vendor who shall remain nameless refers to it as DPI SSL. Other vendors will call it SSL inspection or.
Okay, SSL inspection. So
yes.
when you don't have that turned on, they are just looking right over that traffic, right? So they're
That's
looking
correct.
right over that payload, and they have no clue that that's really a payload, and it could invoke ransomware.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, I think that's all we've got for today. Just wanted to follow up that anybody that wants to learn more about the service that we have here and how you want to protect yourself, we have the ability to do a 10-minute call with you. And what we want to do is talk through how the 3 steps to protect your organization. Now let's just go through this. It makes more sense. So in order to protect that organization, you really got to look at the threat assessment. You've got to create an action plan, and then you got to really implement it. And then the 3rd step is that ongoing maintenance, making sure that, once you have it in place, you can't just set and forget it. So the good news is I can help you get started. We do a 10-minute consult. With that 10-minute consult, I'm going to share with you the 12 ways to prevent the cyber attack checklist. And we can also do an external vulnerability scan on your IP address and let you know what we see there. Also in your handouts today, in the handouts for this webinar, there is the 12 ways to protect your business against the cyber attack. That piece is available for you to download, along with the simple guide to creating and remembering hacker-proof passwords. So that flyer there, you can all download right there in the handouts of the webinar. We also have the password policy from SANS Institute that you can use in your organization, along with a little white paper I put together about 7 things that you can do to protect yourself from bank fraud. And it kind of all relates together with the cybersecurity and making sure that you have all the right things in place. So the 2 things you need to know: there's no obligation to buy anything with any of this. And this is the only way that we can move forward with this, and that I can make sure that I can help you, is actually to fill out the web form at our website. And that is www.tomtechtoday/cyber-audit. That kind of filters everything together for me so I can stay organized and make sure that I can help everybody. So, whatever you do, don't put this off. Take a look at what we have to offer. This is the best thing since sliced bread. This really brings together everything as far as, you can now watch over your network, no matter where it is, where your workers are working. And that's why I'm really excited about this. And I'm so glad I was able to partner with Rob and with Avast and trying to bring this to my clients. So don't put this off. Go out to our webpage today, and we'd love to help you. And from there, I think we'll call it a wrap. Thanks for your time.